morning, dear students. We are going to start the next chapter of civics, that is confronting marginalization. So, children, before this chapter, we have understood first of all what is marginalization. In the previous chapter, we have discussed that, and we have discussed how two different groups, what is their experience regarding inequality and discrimination. They are powerful, so these groups, they have to fight, they had to protest, they had to struggle for what is being done with them. Now, what is being done with them? They are dominated, they are ignored by other people. Now, they how they have attempted to overcome this situation by a range of strategies in their history. Now, these people, they have done lot of attempts. Now, see, religious solace, armed struggle, self improvement and education, economic uplift, there appears to be no one way of doing things. Means they have adopted so many things to just fight for the inequality which is being done with them. In all cases, children, the choice of struggle was always depended on the circumstances. What circumstances they were facing, according to that, they were struggling. Fine. Now, in this chapter, children, we are going to read about some of the ways in which these groups, individuals, they challenge the existing inequalities. Fine. How these Adivasis, Dalits, Muslims, women, and even many other groups, how they argue, how they, that simply being a citizen of a democratic country means they are a citizen of a democratic country, so they also have equal rights, and they also must be respected by everyone because it's a democratic country. But many among them, they were just looking at the constitution to just address their concerns, so that the constitution, what does the constitution says regarding to all this. So in this chapter we will see, children, why the constitution of India is doing something for the marginalized groups, how he is how means how this constitution is helping them in this struggle. Fine. As part of this, we will also look at how rights are translated into laws, how the rights which were given to these people, how they were translated, how they were made, different laws just to protect these groups, just to stop the exploitation of these groups. We will also check out what are the efforts which government do to formulate the policies. The policies are made, but who's going to formulate it, who's going to enforce that? So that we will also see how they are promoting you know these policies, and how they are reaching to these groups for their development. First of all, children, the first topic of the chapter is invoking fundamental rights. So first of all, we will talk about fundamental rights. So see, constitution, we have learned in the first chapter that the constitution, it lays down the principles that make our society a polity democratic. Means the constitution says it has some principles in it which tell us what a democratic society should be like. They are now these principles, they are defined in the constitution, and even through the list of fundamental rights. Every person has a fundamental right, and these fundamental rights are an important part of the constitution. These rights are available to all Indians equally. There nowhere it has been written that only the rich people can enjoy the fundamental rights. It's equally for all. Now, children, as far as the marginalized are concerned, We talked about the marginalized people. So they have drawn out on these rights in two ways. The first way was by insisting on their fundamental rights. They have forced the government to recognize the injustice done to them. Now, these people, they are, forcing the government that just see, this is the fundamental right which we should, enjoy, but see what the injustice which is being done with us. The second thing is they have insisted the government to enforce some laws on them. They have forced the government to enforce some laws. Whatever law you have made, please use that law now for safeguarding us. In some instances, the struggle of the marginalized have influenced the government to frame new laws. Even in some cases, the government has to make some new laws. Fine, in keeping with the spirit of fundamental rights. So they always, stress on the fundamental rights, these marginalized people, and they just tell the government, see what does the fundamental right says and what is being done with us. Fine. Now if you talk about article 17 of the constitution, it says that untouchability has been abolished, totally abolished. What this means is no one can, you know you no one can stop the Dalits from educating themselves, from entering the temples, from using the public facilities. And it also stress on, it is wrong to practice untouchability. Means if it is banned, you cannot stop a Dalit from all these things. And even if you are practicing this untouchability, this practice will not be tolerated by the democratic government. And in fact, children, now untouchability is a punishable crime. If somebody is, caught practicing untouchability, that person can be punished. Fine. There are other sections also in the constitution that are helping out. They are just, making it more, this, they are more focusing on the arguments against untouchability. Like for article 15 of the constitution, what it says, that no citizen in India shall be discriminated. No one should be discriminated on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Nobody can discriminate you on these bases. Fine. This has been used by Dalit to seek equality where it has been denied to them. So obviously the Dalit will speak up if they are not given, they are discriminated on all these bases. Obviously they are going to ask for equality to the government, and they will claim for the equality as it is. It should not be denied. Fine. Now, children, just see in the box the meaning of Dalit is given to you. Now, the next thing, yes, now the Dalits, they can invoke or draw on a fundamental right in situations, they can come up in situations where they feel that they are treated badly by some individual or some community or even by the government. They can take action. And children, they have drawn the attention of the government of India to the constitution, demanding that the government abide by it and do justice to them. And they also say that the government should take step. Fine. They draw out the attention of the government that this constitution says, and you have to follow what the constitution says, and you have to bring justice to us. Fine. Now next thing is, children, likewise the other majority groups, fine, they also ask for this fundamental right, or what our constitution say. They also particularly draw upon the right to freedom of religion and cultural and educational rights. So this is the right They can follow any religion. They should not be discriminated on culture. They have the educational rights. In the case of cultural and educational right, distinct culture and religious groups like Muslims and Parsis find they have the right to be the guardians of the content of their culture, as well as the right to make decisions on how best this concept is to be preserved. So whenever we talk about Muslim, we look them in some other way. We just look at their culture, their religion in some other way. So these two groups, just for example, they have given like Muslims and Parsis, they had the right to guard their culture, and even they had the right to make decision to preserve their culture. Thus, by granting different forms of cultural rights, the constitution tries to ensure cultural justice to such groups. So the constitution is granting them cultural rights they can follow. So through this, the constitution is just trying to make sure that the cultural justice should be given to all such groups. The constitution does this so that the culture of these groups is not dominated. Why the constitution do so? So that the culture should not be dominated, and nor it should be wiped out. It should not be, you know, finished. Fine. So by the majority community. Fine, the community which is in majority should not dominate the culture of the minorities. Fine. Now see, the next topic is laws for the marginalized. Okay. Now as we have read that the government is making laws to protect the citizens. Fine. So yet this is not only the way in which it takes action. This is not the only way. There are specific laws and policies, particular laws and policies for the marginalized group in our country. These are the policies, or you can call them schemes, fine, that emerge through other means like setting up of community committee or by undertaking a survey. There are different ways how these policies and schemes are, checked out. So the government is making an effort just to promote these sort of policies in order to just give the opportunities to specific groups. Those groups which are not, those groups which are, excluded from the society, the government is giving special opportunities to them. Special schemes are there for them, like promoting social justice. Fine. As part of their effort to implement the constitution, both state and central government, they both will create specific schemes for the implementation of tribal areas or in areas that have a high Dalit population. Both center and the state will be taking actions, like the government is going to provide either free or subsidized hostels, means less fees will be taken from them for the students of Dalit and Adivasi communities, especially for them. The scheme is specially for them, so that they can easily avail, so that they can easily go for education facilities. Fine, which is, if they are not having the facilities in their localities, so they can go and avail these sort of facilities. Fine. In addition, specific facilities the government can give them through laws. They can ensure that the steps should be taken to end the inequality in our system, like a law or a policy is reservation policy. You all be knowing about the reservation policy. Fine. So what happens in there? It is, it is significant and highly contentious. Find what is happening. The law is going to reserve the seats in the education system or the government employment for Dalits and Adivasis. And this is also base of important argument that in the society like ours, where centuries sections of population have been denied opportunities to learn, to work in order to develop new skills, A democratic government needs to step in and assist these sections. So government has to jump in this inequality, and they are just helping out these people by making some particular laws or policies. And one such policy we talked about is the reservation policy. Either their seats will be reserved in education also, and as well as in the government employment also. Fine. Now how this reservation policy will work? Now government across India, they have their own list of scheduled caste or the list of scheduled tribe, backward and the most backward caste. Now the central government also has a list, and the state government will also have a list. Now students which are applying for these educational institutions, or those who are applying for the government post, fine, they had to show the proof of their caste, their tribal status, in the form of caste or tribe certificate. They had to give that certificate, they had to show that certificate. Now many government and educational institution all ask for their caste and tribe status, so that they can get the proof that yes, they belong to this caste or this tribe, so they can avail the whatever opportunity or whatever help has been given to them. If a particular Dalit caste or a certain tribe is on the government list, then the candidate can from that caste or tribe can avail the benefit of the reservation. Fine. Like for admission to colleges, the other thing, especially to institutes of professional education such as medical colleges, government define a setup like cut-off mark list they have for these people. Like not for all, like for Dalit or tribal candidates, they can qualify for admission. Their marks secured will have the cut-off point, like it will be some other percentage will be required for general caste, and for these people like scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, they will be having some less percentage. Like if they have 80%, so these people they will be having okay 60%, just an example. Fine. So government is offering them special scholarships also. Fine. You'll be reading it in the ninth class political science, that how these reservation and backward classes work. Fine. So children, after that comes protecting the rights of Dalits and Adivasis. Fine. So in addition to these policies of our country is also having some specific laws that guard against the discrimination and exploitation of marginalized communities. There are some laws. Now let us read what is it. Now it's a case study. It's a real life account. Fine. Just to understand how these Dalit people they use the protection that laws provide. Now here the villages of Jakmalgur, they are gearing up for a big festival. Now, what sort of festival they are having? They are, they are going after every 5 years. They are going to honor their local deity, and priests from the 20 neighboring villages they will become. It will be a 5 day event, and a ceremony will begin when a Dalit community will be washing the feet of all the priests and then bathing with that water. Now this is Rathnam's family. It is Rathnam's turn. Rathnam's grandfather used to do this, father used to do this, but Rathnam is against all this. He has straight away said no to this, and people are very angry. Even the higher society people are very angry that how can this person can do this. Fine. He said no, I am not going to do this. Fine. Now all have become against him. Even the villagers they are not supporting. And at last what happens? Rathnam and his mother they are sleeping in their home. So their house was set to fire. Their hut was set on fire. So they easily managed to escape, and saved their life. Then they went to a local police station. Now they filed the case under the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Type Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. Now this way they had how they protected themselves, protected their rights, what the constitutions give them. So this way, children, there are many other examples, there are many other laws which the people can avail. Fine. So this was all about today's topic. Thank you and have a nice